Welcome back to the show. Check out these headlines. We got BlackRock. We got Bakkt. We got breaking news on a new amendment on the XRP ledger and another one soon to follow. Swiss and a central bank digital currency. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen. The Bank of England, you won't believe what we got for you there. Ripple and the BIS. And we got this digital euro. You're going to want every bit of it. And Ripple CTO and a Google comparison and so much more. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, it's $1.62 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is off by 0.9%, and we see we're at 39,700 plus for Bitcoin at the moment, 2,100 plus for Ethereum, 95.5 billion plus for Tether market cap. XRP's at 50 cents. We're off by 1.7 on the 24-hour, off by 9.8 on the 7-day. The range of price very tight right now, between 50 and 51 cents. We'll keep an eye on it. But I want to let you know right now, the window, it's not closing yet, but it is getting very, very difficult to tell you that this event is not going to sell out. I'm going to tell you, and it looks like VIP tickets are going to be first. Somebody play it. This is what you're going to be missing. I don't want you to miss it. I want to meet you. I want to hang out with you. Take a listen.
Like you wanted, my opponents never on it. I ain't thinking about tomorrow, only thinking about the moment. Feel the buck from the buckshot. 20s in my London shop. Switch.
But one thing that I really like is I think you'll see a lot more of these neo-banking type of services come into play. I think you will start to be able to use your crypto portfolio to have a debit card and pay, or you'll be able to send money. You know, I could send money to Fabio or crypto to Fabio, just like I send Venmo today.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's coming, and it's coming in a big way. Make sure you click the link, get your ticket underneath the video, or go to XRPLasvegas.com and get your tickets today. Do not mess around. They will sell out. I can feel it. And VIP is going to sell out faster than the general admission. So if you're looking for VIP experience, it's going to be remarkable. I would get your ticket as soon as you can. Right here, we see big breaking news here. $1.7 billion. BlackRock now holds 44,005 Bitcoin. Oh, my goodness. That's how that's going. And everybody's like, yeah, but why is the price going down in the market? You know, people are selling into the face of this new product. Hang in there. Hang in there. It reminds me when you see companies go public and then you see that initial run up in price and then you see a huge sell off and then usually a couple months later it'll recover, right? So not financial advice, just giving the evaluation there of what it looks like to me in the ETF land. We'll see. I got some exposure to it. Let's see what happens. Here we see Bakkt, which is owned by the parent company that also owns the New York Stock Exchange, ladies and gentlemen. I have been talking about Bakkt till I am blue in the face about how excited I am about Bakkt. And Bakkt is a publicly traded company. And I want to go ahead and tell you right now, and shout out to my man JR inside of the DPMG group. I know him and I and a few others in there have been trying to gather up as much Bakkt as we can. And it's $1.26 a share. And when it IPO'd, it went $54, $55 in that range. And then we saw the huge sell-off into the face of it, right? Into the face of the IPO. And now we're in that point where we're waiting for regulatory clarity, the suppression to be lifted, right? The legislation that we need. And then I think you're going to see this thing make a run like we've never seen before. And it's a public stock. Just saying. Just saying. And right here, Mickle Market shares, and so does Documenting Ripple here, breaking clawbacks amendment have reached the 80% voting threshold to pass on the XRP ledger. So you know what that means. We have that waiting period, that 2-week waiting period. Looks like February 8th, this thing will become, if it stays above 80% voting consensus, it will become a new addition to the ledger. How exciting is that? We covered, you can type clawbacks into the search box of the videos and find the information on clawback amendment and what that really entails. Switzerland Central Bank plans December CBDC pilot. Oh boy, we like hearing that. And then we have this. Remember when the Bank of England told us this about digital pounds? You're going to love this.
The Bank of England nor the government would be able to program your digital pounds or restrict how you spend your money.
There you go. They're not going to control it. They're not going to restrict how you spend your money. But this just came in. Bank of England to limit how much UK digital currency can be held. You just can't. Look, I mean, I know that there's a difference between phasing something in and then they give it, limits to make sure it's going well and introduce it. But, that does feel a little two-faced, from the UK, doesn't it? But look, these are governments, central banks, and the reality is this is the danger that we're worried about with digital money, is that not only, on the front side of introducing it and making sure that it integrates and implements well into our financial system, which I totally understand, but at the same time, you have to wonder, what do these governments and central banks really intend to do when they have that kind of programmable power? It is a very serious concern. And in fact, today we're going into the Freedom Zone at the end of this video. You're going to want to join us in there. We have a World Economic Forum whistleblower that is going to break down central bank digital currencies and other plans that the World Economic Forum is planning to do to the masses. Ripple joins the BIS task force for cross-border payments, ladies and gentlemen. That was a reminder because the BIS sets out its 2024 strategy with key focus on CBDC and tokenization. And then that brings us to the conversation of bridge currencies. Give Mr. Mann a follow. This guy does amazing stuff. It's a 15-minute video. I'm not going to play it. You can breathe a sigh of relief. But what I am going to do is bring you into one of the key parts here at about this mark right here or so. And I'm going to let this play, and you're going to hear them talk, because now you have to understand, Daniel Eden of the BIS, formerly of R3, is talking about bridge currencies and bridging mechanisms and the practicality thereof. And in the early part of this video, he talks clearly about if you have two currencies that have enough liquidity to trade between one another, there's no need for a bridge currency. And we've known this, but I want to acknowledge it for those that don't yet understand it, right? And the truth is that when you start getting larger and larger volumes of payment that need to be made in a more consistent way, this is where you start getting into the conversation of how you could build pools. Liquidity pools using, he says, automated market makers for central banks. Let me let it play.
Supporting the functionality of the bridge currency.
Right. Yep.
It's interesting. I mean, I'll give you an example. We released this week a project called Project Mariana. And in this project, we looked specifically at, we envision a world where CBDCs exist. And we took 3 economies, Singapore, France, and Switzerland, and pooled their CBDCs in a common kind of offshore pool that was an automated market maker. And in that automated market maker, all the currencies could trade against each other. So I bring that example as like a serious departure from the way we think about foreign exchange today. Maybe, I mean, there's a lot of value moving around in the crypto ecosystem in that type of in these type of structures. Maybe that's something that's attractive for central banks moving forward, and we're really just starting to scratch the surface of those type of tools. So my intuition is that technology is only a part of it. Technology can open up new realms of possibilities. The US dollar isn't the US dollar only because of technology, right? It has many, many other facets to it. The depth of the markets, the rule of law, many, many things create the trust in the US dollar that you have that exists around the world. I think as the technology advances, and technology is a part of this. I don't want to minimize the technology component of this, but the technology in general is kind of equally accessible to everyone. Maybe there's slight variations in form factors. So my sense is that rising tide will kind of lift all the ships, and the competition will likely be in things that are a little bit softer. Let's call them. So I don't think you decide which bills you use based on the fabric and the feel and what they look like. I mean, at the end of the day, it's where you live and what you have access to. But even if you could choose, it's more about which central banks you engage with, where you're doing most of your business activity, and that's the currency that you choose to deal in, right? So it's a very, very practical thing. So my sense is, I don't think it's a zero-sum game between bridging structures or direct structures. I think there's a lot of space for cross-border payments, and you asked about digital assets as well. So as we create more and more type of digital assets, as we maybe tokenize our deposits, maybe hold certain types of stable coins for payment needs that are very, very specific, my sense is that all of these things will bloom. A lot of times people think about currency competition, and currency competition is very, very real. Currency competition can exist between different forms of payment within an economy. Currency competition can also exist between different central banks and different fiat issuers. So currency competition is not a new phenomenon. Currency competition will continue to exist. Technology will probably make that competition more relevant and maybe even fiercer, but the beneficiary of this competition will be the users, right? And as long as we can keep the guardrails on, as long as we can not mess it up, right? And I think, when you think about the role of the BIS and the central banking community in general, right? That is the lens through which we look at things, right? This needs to work not just on the sunny days, but on the rainy days. And on the rainy days, that's the most important time where we test whether or not these type of things have the impact that we would like them to have. So I'm generally optimistic, and I think not looking at it as a zero-sum game is very, very important. There's no reason why your wallet, well, there is a reason today why your wallet can't hold 50 different types of currency. I'm not sure that there's a reason moving forward why it can't. And I'm not sure there's a reason why it can't provide real-time foreign exchange depending on what you are about to buy in the future as well, right? So just kind of open that up and say, oh, well, maybe we're actually looking at this from a relatively narrow lens, and the future of payments is much more interesting and exciting than just these tiny movements that we think about today.
Very, very informative for me. I hope you get the same thing out of it here. The entire clip is fantastic, so shout out to everybody that put that together there too. Let's move quickly now because I don't want this to get too long. This is Jenna Pacha of Digital Euro, and she basically in the middle of this video explains, let me give it to you.
With the sum of money which needs to be.
They're talking about promissory notes, and what happens is Jenna comes in and explains how it works once you take your money to the bank.
You're transferring the notion of
it's like an IOU, right?
Yes.
When I take, and this is something many of our listeners probably heard me say before, but when I take my £100 in cash that I've had stashed under my mattress or something to a bank branch, should I be able to locate a physical bank branch and I deposit it in my bank account, I no longer own £100.
That's right.
What I own is now a claim against that commercial bank for the sum of £100, but which is actually no longer backed even by £100 that they hold, just sitting in a vault. It's probably because they've used it as basis for making loans and extending credit. It's now backed by about £10 in a vault, along with some other some loans and liabilities due to them, alongside a lot of prudential regulation, the Financial Services Compensation Scheme, and all the stuff that gives me trust in the financial system.
Exactly.
Well, interestingly enough, is that doesn't really give us the real trust. It's fractional lending is what she's explaining, which is the way the banking system works. And to the point that she's making, I want to build on it and ask the question generally of all of us as we watch this digital transformation take place. How do we see, because fractional lending is so dangerous and it is what has helped take us to ruin, right, in the financial system, you know, among other things, but certainly one of the key notes. And as we move away from a debt-based system to an asset-backed system, I have to ask the question, what happens to fractional lending? At some point, you have to eliminate fractional lending, just like you're not going to pass stablecoin legislation and say you don't have to back it 1-to-1. You guys can do, you know, a 10-to-1, right? You know what I mean? Like, you know, or 1/10 of 1-to-1. Nobody's going to want to see 1/10 to 1 on a backing of a stable coin. And I wouldn't want to see that in the banking world. So this is something that is also yet to be revealed to me, how all of this changes in the banking world. And again, I mean, I think we could also call it motive, right? You talk about the legacy players in the banks and why are they fighting all of this so much? Well, maybe, just maybe, that whole fractional lending will end up coming into question as we move through the transformation of this digital age. And I hope that it does. Let's take it to here where Ripple CTO David Schwartz, talking about the XRP ledger, compares it to Google. I like what he's got to say here. David Schwartz has likened the XRP blockchain value proposition in the payment landscape to the utility of tech behemoth Google in the search engine business. This remark came during an exclusive interview with CoinDesk, where he elaborated on the evolving crypto ecosystem, emphasizing the niche where the XRP ledger aims to excel is cross-currency payments. Specifically, the interviewer inquired about the growing trend toward a multi-chain crypto ecosystem where each chain possesses distinct use cases. Considering these varied niches and specialties, the CoinDesk journalist asked whether the concept behind the XRP ledger implies that it aims to emerge as the predominant choice of payments. In his response, he asserted that he firmly believes the XRP ledger, with its native asset XRP, is set to excel in cross-currency payment solutions and liquidity provisions. According to him, the XRP ledger's design and optimization specifically cater to these use cases. Drawing a parallel, he suggested that a failure in the niche area would be akin to Google failing in its primary search function. He said in his own words here, "I strongly believe the XRP ledger is the best option for cross-currency payments and liquidity provisions. It was developed specifically for the purpose, and everything has been optimized for this particular use case. Therefore, if it fails to deliver in this area, it would be like Google failing to search." You can't say it any better than that, right? You just can't. And then there's this XRP shooting star, ladies and gentlemen, or gravestone doji. He says, "I do urge you to take a moment to read the post below and see how reliable candle formations are in predicting price prediction." And if you look here, you see what he's got here, 50 to 55 cent, which is the window we're in now. And he told us about this some time ago. So this is the stuff that really comes back and look back down the road that you've been down and say, you know what? Okay, here we go. It says, hold on, there's more. There could be a 7 to 12% overshooting to the mix. So that could take us down lower, as he said, from the 50 to 55 cents. All of this very pertinent to pay attention to because of where we are. Because the ultimate point from the technical analyst, Eggrad Crypto, as we've seen many times, is that regardless of this pullback dip or an overshoot on the dip, it's not changing the scenario for a $20+ XRP in the future whenever that happens. So all of that is still in play and still on the table as far as the technical analysts are concerned. We'll have to keep an eye on it and watch it. I'm very excited because 2024 could really shape up to be a very defining year for crypto as far as regulation and legislation go. I can't wait to see what happens. Price will take care of itself as long as we get those things done. We'll see. Now it's time for us to head into the Freedom Zone. The World Economic Forum whistleblower, CBDCs, microchips, it's all in their plan, and we're going inside right now. Join us in the Freedom Zone, not financial advice from me or anyone else. Here we go. We're going in as we speak.